Hey, and we're still trying a few things. We'll see what happens. So this is going to be disjointed. This isn't a real feed or anything, and it will likely get deleted unless things work out, but it's a lot of technical stuff. So we're trying to figure out some new stuff, and anyway. So what we'll do is we're going to work on this little skull. We'll airbrush a little bit, and basically it gives me a chance to check out the feed health and that kind of thing. For you guys, you just get to watch me paint. So let's switch over. So this is what I'm working on. It's a painting that's already been claimed. It's just this kind of cool lit skull on this piece of aluminum, and I've already started it. Started it for another live stream. So yeah. So we'll see what's going on. Let's see, and I want to see if, let's see what we got here. There we go. I just want to see if anyone does jump on, and I'll change the title screen later. I wasn't intending to this be a thing. Hey Gary, what's up? Yeah, sorry. There we go. Yeah, it is a lot of kind of getting used to the new setup, and there's some stuff. So basically what I'm looking for is no lag. So if you start to see skipping, I'm going to see it before you guys do. But if it does get really crazy, then what I just tried isn't going to work. So I'll have to, cancel this feed. And by that time, we're getting close to the other video that's going to premiere at 8. So in the meantime, we're just going to go for it. Where I left off was just a little bit of highlights and stuff I started, but I still need to do a lot of work with the grays. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to try out the sexy new Infinity CR Plus, which is a beautiful brush. So we're going to put some gray in this and keep going. So I can see comments though, so that's good. Emily, what's up? Yay. Yeah, so good so far, so good. Gary, thanks. Yeah, keep an eye on it, kids. Let me know. Right now, it does look really good. Basically, there was a big firmware update that I missed on the last round, and I'm hoping that and a couple other things that we made some changes thanks to Scott McKay and his technical prowess with all this junk. I'm hoping this is going to be, it's all going to be okay. So for those tech heads, what was going on was my switcher wasn't putting out enough data, which is why it was getting bogged down. Now, that could be in unison with weird, weird internet stuff, but yeah, I'm hoping that's kind of what it is. So what I'm doing off the camera, which you really can't see, is I'm just mixing up a little bit of Createx opaque white and opaque black. And what I'm looking for is like a darkish medium gray. And what I'm doing is I'm setting up like the lower values of the skull. So in the video we did on the Monday, I kind of pushed out a bunch of highlights and stuff. That's not normally how this goes. Usually I'll get all this like medium underpainting gray in. And then I'll start working on the darks and the real lights. But this is the next thing to happen. What do we got? Yeah, okay, good. You guys are there. I'm not expecting a ton of people on because this was not announced at all. So it's, this is just for whoever shows up. This brush is, I got to use it a little bit the other day, but only with a little bit of black. I did the time-lapse video with a bunch of this brush, and I got to work with a little bit on the Monday night feed, but that was with gouache, which is a cranky little paint, to say the least. So this is good. This gives me a chance to kind of mess with this brush for real. It's hypersensitive, which is nice. The trigger is big and acorn shaped, upside down. No, correct. Yeah, correct acorn shaped. So it's a lot bigger than most of the triggers, but for that sensitivity, like to get, if the paint is going to come out immediately, which it does in this brush, for me, a bigger trigger is really nice. It gives me some control over this thing that a small, like little tiny trigger wouldn't be able to do. And that's all personal feel. You know what I mean? That's not anything That's not anything that, like some people would like a real small trigger. So Marge is your test monitoring person. I didn't even know she was going to be on. I didn't ask her. She's got a bunch of stuff going on, but yeah, I knew that I was going to like have a little bit of time before the premiere of the Tokyo painting tonight. So I'm like, you know what? I got to work on this. I got to get this done because, you know, Gary's waiting for this, and I really want to get it done right. And plus, it's a lot of fun to work on something like this too. So again, now you can start to see it up against this lighter white color. That gray is pretty dark. But against the black, of course, it seems very, very light. So I could even drop this down another step, which I probably will end up doing. Yeah, let me put a couple more drops of black in this. Just to really kind of get it dumped down. And I was talking about this on the Monday night feed when I was actually working on this. And this is the big difference between those quick 543 paintings that I do and like a real painting like this. A 543, I would just use white and black, and that's it. All the gradation would be putting the white on in, you know, lighter layers, and that's what would give me that kind of grayish color. However, when I'm doing something like this, I'll mix up a lot of the grays. So there's more of that grisaille type of feel to it when it's done. And that gives the whole thing a lot more. The only way I can describe it is it feels more solid. You know, the 543s almost have a pen and ink type style feel to them, which is common because pen and ink, you know, you develop those gradations by the, you know, just the space between really, or the thinning down of the ink. But this is actually like the middle tones are a different color entirely. And that really, even in a monochromatic piece, that makes this feel really, really solid, which is very cool. What do we got? The People's Artists. Hello, the People's Artists. What is up? This is not I'll give you the disclaimer. This is not an official feed. We just figured we'd test out a few new things, and while I could have done this as a private video or private live and, you know, just deleted it, I figured I have to work on this skull, and what better way to check your data upload and make sure your packets are going where they need to than you know, paint for real. So that's what we're doing tonight. And then if all goes well, Monday night, knock on wood, we'll be back in business with the regular feed. Technology is such a beautiful thing. I just got interrupted for an ad for HIV meds. Unbelievable. That's fantastic. So I know we all live in a subscription-based world, but one of the best things I ever did was get the premium YouTube package. I realized I was just watching a lot of YouTube. And I'm working on YouTube a lot, so I'm like, I'll just do it. But you know what? Not having ads on YouTube is like, I don't know. I don't even know what to tell you. This brush is amazing. The white is still sucky to spray. So I've got a little bit of paint in there, but I'm going to do, because it's still kind of not really flowing the way I want it to. I'm going to add a little bit of 4050 and 4011, or if you're not living in the Stone Age like me, you'd be adding 21 to it, the new reducer. But I still have a bunch of 4011 left, so I'm going to add a little bit of that to it. The 4050 is just it's a UVLS clear for them, if you're not familiar with their stuff. And what it does is it keeps the viscosity of the paint while letting it flow a little bit better, and also makes it more transparent. But it's really the flow that I'm using out of it. That's what I want. Ryan, what's going on? So there we go. So now, even though I had just a couple drops in there because I added the reducer and the 4050, now I've got a half a cup. I have the smallest cup. This little guy has an interchangeable size fluid cup on the top, which is kind of nice. So I was using the medium size one, which is still really small, the other day, but I swapped it out to the smallest one, just because this brush, I'll only use it for super crazy detail. So the commercials are depending on the viewer subscription. So no, actually, Gary, so the ads are based around YouTube, not around your membership. So I think if you don't have YouTube Premium, which is their paid thing, I think you still get ads. Now, that's one of the things I'm gonna check, since I'm messing around with a lot of things. If I can, I'm gonna turn the ads off. I seem to remember that it was a thing, which is nice. So for the live feeds, I'll turn it off. But yeah, I apologize for that. I've been living over on Facebook for the live feeds for so long that it's kind of a new animal for me. So I'll get it down. I appreciate you guys being patient. Yeah, you get commercials at times. Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I don't know how that works yet, but yeah. All right, so this gray. Actually, this isn't. It's still the same gray because I didn't backflush this at all. So I'm going to backflush this a little bit, just by holding a paper towel right in front of the needle and nozzle, and just gently pulling the trigger back a little bit. Not a lot, please, because you'll end up with a face full of paint. But just a little bit, and it pushes air back through the brush, which also mixes the paint in the front. Seems stable. Yeah, so far so good, right? Yay for it's not SRT, it's RMPT or something. Basically what's going on is, no, I'm not even going to get into it. I learned a lot about data packages last night, more than I should know. But bottom line is, yeah. My switcher, which should have been pumping out enough information, was not. And I think it was a firmware update that I needed to do, among other things. So hopefully, we're going to be okay. But yeah, stable is what we want. SRT, yeah, exactly. Oh, there's Scott. Yeah. Scott, interestingly enough, the SRT beta was not available on my drop-down menu. So this is RTMP or whatever the other one was. Because it was just a default YouTube or YouTube RTMP or whatever it was. Yeah, the beta one wasn't available, which is weird because right before I logged on, I watched another video on it, on how to look for it so I could actually find it. And on the video I watched, yeah, in the drop-down menu, YouTube had the SRT beta. And for some reason, mine didn't. So I got to figure out what's going on there. Yeah, it was weird because it's easy to find. I was totally expecting it and couldn't come up with it, or didn't have it on it. It didn't have it as an option, which was weird. Oh, and Scott, I forgot to mention this when I was talking to you. So pretty. Yay for German airbrushes. So now I have another one. That I can put in the detail bin, which is fun. Yeah, this brush is doing all it is built to do. There, like I said on the other feed too, with this brush, I am 100% totally used to Japanese airbrushes. So Japanese airbrushes have a different feel than this because they're manufactured differently. So it is going to take a little bit of time for me to get used to the feel of this brush, but it's nothing outrageous. The way I described it was, you're used to driving a GTR, and someone lets you borrow their Porsche, and you know what I mean. It's like it's a totally different car, totally awesome performance, but it's going to be different. How are you liking Trigger? Marge, I really need to lay off. I still find I death grip these things so hard. If I flip my finger over, you can see the imprint clearly, right? This is not normal for the way you should airbrush. If you take one thing away from what I do that you shouldn't do is you really, not you, Marge, just in general if you're learning to airbrush, but just learn to relax. You just kind of push the trigger down so the air goes, and then all you're doing is just pulling back a little bit, which is what I do, but I find I clamp down on this thing, especially when I get into real tight details, and that's what's going on with that. But even with that, that's less painful than when I was trying to get used to the new Iwata square triggers. With the square triggers, this back corner digs into my finger when I'm spraying. So that took a lot of getting used to the point of I was almost going to round that right off. Again, and those are all just personal and preference type things that it is what it is. Yeah, the Squidmar, that should be pretty amazing. The Squidmar Ultra. But yeah, Scott, they're pretty nice brushes. I mean, this is just white, mostly white, and a little bit of black, and then I just spiked it with some 40-50 and reducer, and yeah, this is doing tiny stuff. So while I'm kind of talking and we're shooting the shit, you can see how like the gray never gets obviously to that because it's that medium gray. So I can put this in everywhere where even there are bright highlights, like down here on the lower jaw and the lower mandible. I can put this color in there and freely spray there, like just work out those details and not worry that, oh my gosh, I've gone too light, or, I've put something in that I shouldn't have put in. I can always double back on this and clean it up. Or the ultimate thing is, to put in those white highlights. So, where we go? People's Airbrush. I've got a cheap Amazon brush and a compressor. What do you recommend, Steve? All right. So first question, people, is what are you spraying? So let me know what you wanna kind of get out of it, because that answer is going to make a big difference in what you get. So if you want to do stuff like really tiny detail stuff, you're going to need to kind of get something that's more refined than what you have, which is fine. The problem, again, like anything, I didn't mean to do that. The problem, again, is, more refined means more money. But that's also fine because more refined and higher quality means it's going to last you a lot longer, too. I still have the first Iwata airbrushes I ever bought. I still have the first Pache airbrush I ever bought. And they still work like they're new. So don't worry about that. But if you're looking for real super detail, you got to get into brushes like this Infinity, the Iwata custom microns and stuff like that. This is why it's super important. If you're going to be doing like larger things, like this guy is really small. It's only 2 inches by 4 inches, right? If you're going to be doing a lot of bigger things and you're looking for, like great detail and more coverage, a micron or the CR, not necessarily the CR because you can swap the needle out in it, but a micron is going to give you more headaches than it's worth. It's a beautiful brush. It's amazing. But if you're doing big stuff, then, that's going to be rough. It's again, the analogy I use is if you have a, how do I do this? I don't even know. I was trying to figure out how to unscrew the handle because I got to twist the needle. This is the first time I'm doing this. There we go. The analogy I use is if it's great. If you buy a Ferrari, that's awesome. But if you need to haul like mulch, if you're do a lot of home gardening and you have to haul mulch and seed and all that stuff and all you have is a Ferrari, that sucks. So again, I am sold, like I've always used Japanese airbrushes. So for me, it's, that's kind of the way that it goes. So I can recommend a lot of good Japanese airbrushes for you. However, like I said, Harder and Steenbeck has done a hard press across the board, and they have a ton of great brushes. Badger has a bunch of great brushes. I hope the Ultra is not like the regular Squidmar. It's heavy as hell. Yeah, that's one thing I can't take. One thing they did with this one, which was kind of neat, the handle is a lot longer now because that was a problem with the other one. I guess the older one was kind of front heavy, so that longer handle really kind of balances it out. And plus, for those people who keep the handle on like me, you have the meat of the handle in your fingers and not, ending, I guess. let's see. What am I doing here? Let me, what did I do? I don't know what I did. Steve, what did you do? Well, let's swap out. How's the feed, by the way? Still good? Still stable? Yeah, look at that. Houston, we may not have a problem. I like that. So this is my workhorse, like super detailed brush. This is the Micron B, which is a great brush. Again, if you're not doing like hyper small detail, this is, not the brush that you want to get. Dan, what's up, buddy? But if you are doing super small detail, this is a fantastic brush for that. So in the Iwata line, like so in the Iwata line, if I had to break it down to just a series of brushes that I couldn't do without, like for my current work, let's do that. Then I would have to say, the Micron B and C, and then the Eclipse CS. Those three brushes, I could do everything that I'm doing, and not miss a beat. Again, like if I was painting T-shirts and I gave you that list and you ran out and bought those brushes, you'd be screwed. They're not, they can't handle heavy paint. They just don't like a high pressure. All the things you would need to say do T-shirts. But yeah, for detail, it's good. Could you get away with I don't have one here. Yes, I do. Do I? No, I don't. Yes, I do. No, I don't. Like just an HPC, like a high performance HPC from Iwata, yeah, definitely. Or a B. You wouldn't have to go micron level, but again. And I know, like I say it again, these brushes aren't cheap, but they last for a long, long time. Still good, Houston. I love it. Knock on wood. Everyone knock on wood. What time is it? I don't want to go because I have the premiere at 8. All right, it's only 7:30. We're good. I'm like, that would suck missing my own premiere because I'm painting, but this is fun. This makes me happy. So this medium gray too, I can totally overdo this. Meaning, like I can put this everywhere I want. And when I go to do the black after, I can carve back into this. I can do all kinds of fun stuff with it. So again, it gives you a lot of freedom when you're working because it's difficult to make a mistake. Like obviously I sprayed this black first before I started. So a lot of the shading that you see like right in here, like in the temple behind the eye, that's the black of the board, but that doesn't have to stay that way. You know what I mean? Like I can go into that with as much gray as I want in texture. And then in the end, go back in with black and just reclaim all that. So it's just why this painting style is a lot of fun, because it's difficult to screw it up is what I'm trying to say. You can always go back in and change it. Plus, it's essentially monochromatic. It's just white and black, even though I'm mixing grays. So there's no like mystery on like, oh my gosh, how did I mix that color? Or what's going to cover this? Or any of that stuff. It's like, I know it's white, I know it's black, somewhere in between it will give me some sort of gray that I need, and I'm off to the races. So again, it's just a real fun way to paint, Especially, like I said, if you're just getting started and you're trying to like get everything down, all the little, fundamental strokes and all that stuff, sometimes it's easier not to have to deal with, now I have to deal with like, mixing colors and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes it's better to just get one thing down at a time. I mean, you may learn better when everything's thrown at you and you got to juggle it all. That's awesome. I am not that person. So there's that too. I'm almost ready to do some, I want to get some texture in on the back of this guy here too. We're still okay. Like I'm looking at the big okay on the screen over here. That's a good thing. Mike's brush. What is up, buddy? Can't paint a skull, not expecting to show up. I love it. Skull Squad. Skull Squad. Brian, put flames on it. Brian, what I am going to do is, I did this on the last panel that actually Gary has too. The inside of the eye is going to be glowing like there's a light inside his skull somewhere, which was a great effect. And so it's definitely going to do that with this. And then I've already decided I'm gonna put some sort of pinstripe. Just, it'll stop where the skull is and then pick up again. So you'll see it partially through the whole thing. And then, I just gotta figure out what color I wanna do for that. So I was gonna get some texture on the back of the skull, but this is really like backlit over here. So there's not too much going on. But again, all I gotta do is, like, if I overdo it, it's not a big deal. I can just go back in with the black and take some of that out. Hey, Marge. Just for fun, to give you guys an idea, because I'm going to do the rest of there's a bunch more texture that goes on here, but it's kind of boring. I'll jump into the black a little bit and start recarving that out. Show you what I mean about that. And now the background on this is just opaque black. So I did base this with Autoborn Sealer Black, which when you look at the two side by side, you can kind of tell the difference, but there's not a great difference. But if I just used the black sealer and then tried to like cut back in with the black on the background, you would see that. You would see almost like little, the difference between the two. So I don't want that. So when I finished spraying this with Autoborn Sealer Black, I put a couple coats of opaque black on top of that, just so I know that the colors are exactly the same. Yeah, we'll do a little bit of black, and then I'm going to break so I can get ready for the premiere of the Tokyo painting, which is going to be pretty fun. I'm having fun with that one too. This is black, opaque black, but it's reduced a lot. It's 1 part paint to 10 parts reducer. The last one had a pinstripe too. Yes, yeah, I think it's perfect for that. Who's on that? Oh, I can't see. Oh, Brian Moore. Yeah, I was selling this one, but Gary ended up picking it up right away. So this one's off the table, unfortunately. But you know me, we'll do another one at some point. All right, so this is black. Now, I don't know if you can see it. It's super fine, but there's some spider webbing going on in the nose socket there. So this is what I'm talking about. I don't care about that. It's not a problem because the black sprays better than the white. Like, it sprays a lot better than the white. So I can go in there even without any kind of like template or mask or whatever and just kind of clean that up. So hopefully you saw that. But again, look at the outside edge of his nose. The part I'm going to kind of tighten that up. It got kind of fuzzy. So what I can do, same thing, because this is the same black on the background that it's in the brush right now, I can essentially just carve that fuzziness away until that little line, that white line, is as thin as I need it to be. Now, if you're trying to get your airbrush skill down, to get a line that thin is difficult. It takes a lot. However, what I did was I painted everything around that line. See what I'm saying? And that's a little bit easier. So again, it's another quick tip that will let you get some of the details you want without having to, just say, I'm going to paint that line, which is tough. What else we got? Yeah. Gary was a champ and grabbed this one right away. So I really want to kind of get it done. Now the same holds true with this. Say I'm working on this and I have a little blowout with the black and it spiders, in a way that I don't want it to, which is usually the way spider webs work out of airbrushes. The gray will just cover that, and you just keep bouncing back and forth. So it's really just a great way to do it. All right, back to the eye socket since I've got the black here. Again, kind of clean up that highlight that I put in on the last feed the same way. And again, I can't stress it enough if you're learning how to airbrush. Just a lot of basic stuff that if you get down now, it'll pay off big for you. For instance, here's another one. So I want to get this edge on the eye socket really sharp without using a template. I want to do it freehand because I guess freehand airbrushing is the best. Don't get me started. If I spray at that edge this way, so I'm spraying towards the bright part, the paint obviously is going to spray out of the airbrush, and then any excess is going to go this way, and it's going to fuzzy up that same thing. So just by coming at it this way, the leading edge, or the edge of that spray, is what I'm kind of backing up against that white. So any of the overspray goes off into the dark part of the eye socket, and it leaves me with this super tight edge on that. This is actually working because I have the feed up on my tablet. I'm kind of watching it as we go, and we're almost at the same point on the tablet that we are in real life, which is freaking amazing because the tablet is using Wi-Fi and not the hard line that the thing is. So, boys and girls, this might be a good thing. Come on, baby. There you go. Get some cracks in here, little divots. There we go. Yeah. All right, so marching orders for this. You guys aren't going to see the rest of this. I'm just going to knock it out, on my own. So there's going to be a little bit more gray. I'm going to increase the texture here. What's going to happen here, which is kind of cool, is I'm going to make it look like there's this glowing red light in the eyes. I still got to add all these highlights everywhere, which is the fun part. It's really going to make it pop. I wish I could do it with you guys, but yeah, I really want to get this done. But we'll do more like this in the future too. And that's what I got. So I'm going to switch back to this one to make sure it's working. Yay. So thank you for this impromptu feed. Everything worked well. I'm knocking on wood. I'm hoping everything's fine with all this. If you are still interested in hanging out for some painting, we're going to do the premiere in about less than a half an hour, right on the same spot. And we're painting the Tokyo painting, which is a lot of really minute, tiny stuff. All paintbrush this time on this episode, but still a good one. So thank you for hanging out with me for my test. Everything worked well. No one was hurt, and great. So if you're hanging around, I will see you next Monday at 6 o'clock, and hopefully we'll have a good feed. So thanks a lot, guys. You guys rock. I will see you guys soon. I don't know what button to push, though. Oh, this one.